Step 12. If necessary in your template, start assigning resources to certain tasks. To do this, we need to use our View button on the Quick Access toolbar to flick back to the view called Gantt chart. What we need to then be able to do is to select a particular task and assign somebody to it. So let's say we go to this task here, and I want to assign the framing contractor. So I'm going to scroll to task first of all so I can see the bar. And at the moment I can see there's no resources mentioned on any of the bars in the Gantt chart. But if I click on this task and I go to resource in the ribbon and I choose assign resources, here is an alphabetical list of all the resources I added to my resource sheet. Now as far as the framing goes, I want to add the framing contractor. So I'm just going to go down here, and here it is here. Now the framing contractor is their responsibility to manage the people. All I want to do is acknowledge that the framing contractor will be working on that task. So I just put 1 unit, and immediately the framing contractor appears against that task. Now it's not going to cost me anything because they're going to send me an invoice. So I'm going to select all of these tasks actually and put the framing contractor against all of them. Just 1. Enter. And so I can see the framing contractor is now assigned to all of those tasks. Whereas if I go down here, for example, I might decide that this is the concrete contractor. So I put a 1 there. And this is the fencing contractor. And so I would just assign the fencing contractor. But I can see I didn't put the fencing contractor in. So I can quickly go to the bottom here and add fencing contractor, because I don't have to put in how many units and what the hourly rates are and things like that. I just put fencing contractor and I just put 1. Now I can't see that bar, so I'm just going to scroll to task, and I will be able to see fencing contractor. These two here, landscape contractor. So let's find the landscape contractor. There they are there, 1. And so I've assigned those contractors. So contractors really quite straightforward. This is saying that I've got over allocation because I've got the landscape contractor working on 2 things at the same time. And I've only got 1 landscape contractor. I wouldn't be concerned about that in this particular case because over allocation is not an issue with a contractor. It's their responsibility to manage it. If I wanted to not show those, I could just perhaps go, all right, you two, let's just put 0.5. Let's actually remove first of all, and then put 0.5. So half their time is spent on one and half their time is spent on the other. No problem now because they're not over allocated. But then you may not want to see 0.5, 0.5. So let's remove them again. Remove. Let's double click the landscape contractor. Let's go to general and let's say we've got 2 units. Up that to 2 and OK. And then if I choose landscape contractor, 1 unit on each of those, it's not an issue because I've now told it I've got 2 of them. So different ways that you can handle it. Okay. Then I might decide I'll go up here and I'll choose strip basement. These 2 here, I want the concrete contractor on, so I'll go 1 there. Again, I've got, that's fine because they're not start, 1 finishes, next 1 starts, so there's no problems there. Now the other thing also is you do have this resource names column, and you could use that if you wanted to. So for example, I might decide that I will go to form basement walls. I'll click here, I'll hit the drop down, and I'll choose the concrete contractor, press enter, and they are naturally assigned now to that particular task, concrete contractor. So you could use this column if it's quite a simple assignment, or you could use this if it's more detailed. Let's look at more detailed, for example. If I was to click on finalize plan and develop estimate, okay, I want Kathy to work on that. So I'll go to my units column and I'll say 1. Now when I press enter, what I'm effectively saying, and that's costing me $7,692, and that is because Kathy has been assigned to this task. It's a 20-day task, and you've put 1 unit. 1 unit means Kathy's working full-time for 20 days on that task at $100,000 a year. I may decide, oh no, I don't need her to work 1 unit. I actually just need her to work half her time on that. Now, if I go and change this to 0.5, as soon as I press enter, that task has now gone to 40 days. It was 20. Because you've now changed her from working full time to working half her time on it, which means it's going to take it twice as long, less hands, more work. It's going to take twice as long for that to be done. Let's change it back to 1, and now she's working full time on it, so it's going to take 20 days. If you want to change that to half her time, then I would remove. Click on here, remove, and then put her on at 0.5. Because then you won't change the duration of the task. If you change a unit setting, more hands, less work, less hands, more work, the duration of the task will start altering. If I remove Cathi completely and actually say, look, we're allowing 20 days for that task to be done, but really I'm only expecting her to put 10 hours towards it. So in the units, I'll go 10H. You can put how many hours she is going to work on that task. And so when I press enter, it basically says 0.04. 4% of her time is being spent on doing that task, and it's costing $320.51. Put hours in or put units in. Now, Cathy's also going to charge travel. So one of the resources we added was travel. And she's going to charge us basically $200 every time she has to travel to site. So I'm going to put 200 in the cost column. And when I press enter, Cathi is spending 4% of her time, 10 hours on that 20-day task, and she's charging us $200 travel. So that's how that cost column works, as opposed to the units column where you put hours or units. So now, if you want to assign more than one resource to a task, let's go down here, perform final inspection. I want to involve 2 people in that. Let me scroll to task. I'm going to ask that the owner be involved. So I'm going to just add owner to the bottom of my list here. And I'm going to put the owner there. That's a 1-day task. So the owner, it'll probably be about 4 hours, so 4H. Or I'll just put 1. 1 owner is assigned to that task. 1 Cathi is assigned to that task. And 1 Dennis is assigned to that task. And so that's where we've got those 3 being part of that particular task. So go through assigning resource units or hours to each of your tasks. If you do end up with overallocation, it's because you've assigned more resources than you actually have in your resource sheet. So what would be a typical problem is if I say complete punch items and I say, look, I want to assign 2 Cathys to that job. Immediately I've got a little red man in my indicator column saying that it's overallocated. The reason for overallocation is one of 2 things. You've either assigned more resources than you have in your resource sheet, so I can double click Cathi, and if I double click Cathi I can see I've only got 1 unit and yet I've assigned 2. I can't go and employ another Cathi because there's only 1 of me, so I can't have 2. I have to have 1 at most. Now I've changed it, so I've now doubled the task duration. So let's put it back to 2. Let's then remove and then put them back on at 1, so we don't change the duration of the task. So, but by having 1 Cathi and not 2, I've resolved the overallocation. The other possible problem is if 2 things are happening at the same time. So if I change this 54 here to a 54SS, that should cause a problem because Cathi can't be in 2 places at once. You've got her working full time on this task and full time on this task. So now we've got overallocation again. So I'm going to have to change it back to 54, not a start because she can't be in 2 places at once. And as soon as I change it back to a finish start, then I don't have an overallocation problem. So think about how you're going to resolve overallocation. Maybe employ more units, maybe use units that aren't being used at that time. Maybe they can't start at the same time. Think about how you're going to resolve overallocation. And close. Step 13. I think one of the most important things with a template is customizing the columns. Hiding columns they don't need, inserting columns they do need in the template, and creating custom columns. Now, we've done this a couple of times. For example, we inserted the notes column. We inserted the WBS column, and we also hid that. So think about what columns they need and what columns they don't need. Some might argue they don't need the task mode column. So you might right-click that and you might hide that column. You might right-click the indicator column and you might hide that as well. And you might only bring those back when you're trying to figure out what's gone wrong. So you could right-click and you could insert column and you could type I for indicators, and that would bring the indicator column back, and then just resize it. So insert columns they need, hide columns they don't. For example, I might want to see the cost column. So I right-click notes and I insert column because that's where I want to put it, and I type C for cost. And I bring in the cost column. So I can now see the total cost of my project. Now the problem is a lot of the columns are left aligned, despite the fact that they're dates or that they're numerical. And so one thing you can do on Gantt chart format is you can change the alignment to maybe right aligned so that the cost column is right aligned. Maybe the two date columns are also right aligned, and maybe the duration should also be right aligned. So think about the alignment of your columns in your template. Make it nice and easy for people to work with. Now the other thing is sometimes we don't like the column headings. Like I need to show that cost actually means total cost. So what you can do is you can right-click cost and go into field settings, or you can choose column settings here, which is the same thing, and field settings. I'm going into field settings. I know it's the field called cost, but I want to show the title total cost, so people understand that that's the total cost that they're seeing there. And so that's a possibility. But also we can create our own columns. For example, I might want a column that says priority. And so I'll right-click duration and I'll go to custom fields. In fact, it didn't matter whether I right-clicked duration or what I right-clicked. I'm after custom fields, and I could get that here as well. But if I go into custom fields, there are spare text fields. There's about 30 spare text fields. There's spare cost fields. There's about 10 of those. And there's spare date fields. There's all these spares you can use. So I'm going to go back to text, and text one I want to use, and I want to rename it priority. And okay. Oh, I've got to use a different name. Priority full stop. And okay. Then I might go into lookup because I don't want them to type the priority. I want them to choose high, medium, or low. So lookup. And I'll type high, medium, or low. And if I go close and OK, I then go about inserting it. So I right-click duration, I insert column, I called it priority, there it is there, text 1. And now I can choose high, medium, or low. So that's a high priority, and that's a high priority. And so you can actually then, depending on your project template, set things to high or medium or low. Maybe another one, sometimes I'm asked for manager or supervisor. I'm going to go to custom fields. I'm going to grab one of the text fields. I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call it manager. I'm going to go OK. I'm going to go look up. The managers are either Kathy, Matt, Sue, or Tom. And I'll go close and OK, and I'll insert the column manager. And now I can assign Matt to those tasks. Oops. And I can assign Tom to those tasks. So you can customize your template completely in terms of making drop downs or just making columns that they just fill in. Or you can even do calculations. If, for example, I want to calculate what the total cost was minus the fixed cost. So fixed costs. Fixed cost is a column you would insert if you had invoices from your subcontractors. So I'm going to right click here, insert column, press F for fixed cost. But I don't want to call it fixed costs. I want to call it invoices. So I right click and I go into the field settings and I say, give it the title invoices. And also make the data go to the right. The left can be for the title. And I'll come here and I'll go, the concrete contractor has said $500 for that, $1,000 for that, $1,500 for that. And that's immediately been carried over to the total cost, which has immediately been added to the total cost of the project. Here, the framing contractor may decide that just at the end of that, they're going to give us a $5,000 bill. So that $5,000 goes there, which goes there, which goes up to there. Unfortunately, it doesn't total at the top of the invoices, but it does total at the top of the fixed cost, at the total cost. So that's your fixed cost column. Now let's insert or create a custom field. Custom fields. I'm going to grab one of the spare cost fields, this one here. I'm going to rename it resources, resource cost. I'm going to make it not a lookup or a free-form text, but a formula. A formula that grabs a field from the cost category called costs, which is total cost, and subtracts from the field in the cost category called fixed cost. So total cost minus fixed cost should leave me with the resource cost. And OK, and OK, and OK. So then I right click and I insert column R resource cost. And I right align that. And so here I can tell straight away, if I click on here and scroll to task, I can see straight away that the total cost of this task here is $520.51, and it's completely attributed to the cost of Kathy and her travel. But when I go down to say, let's scroll down here. Here. Let's say that the owner is going to charge us also an invoice of $500. So that makes this task here, scroll to task, a total of $1,269.23. Of that, there's an invoice for $500, maybe from any of these people, plus there's the cost of these people's time, that would be Kathy and Dennis, of $769. These both add up to a total cost of $1,269. You can create a template that has columns they need, insert them. Hide columns they don't need. Create columns that calculate or allow them to type or allow them to choose from a drop down, and completely customize the appearance of your template. Now the other thing in terms of appearances, if I just move this over a little bit and scroll up and maybe scroll to task. You can also customize the look of the Gantt. We looked in an earlier video at customizing the text. There is, for example, the need to show critical tasks. So on the Gantt chart format tab, you might turn on critical tasks. Now critical tasks show red, and these are all critical. Basically, a critical task is any task whose end date alters will immediately affect the end date of the project as a critical task. These tasks have got what we call slack. They can actually drag out a little bit and they won't affect the end date of the project. So they're blue, they're non-critical. Whereas these tasks are red, because if they get delayed by 1 minute, they will affect the end date of the project. But these will not at this point in time. What we sometimes like to do is format the look of some of these bars. I'm just going to take this over a bit so you can see better. So I might want to make the non-critical task navy and the critical task a brighter red. So we're going to format bar styles. And here's your task. It's that blue. I might make it go to more of a navy. And you can also control the text that appears on the left, the right, the top, the bottom, and inside each of these non-critical tasks. But I'm just going to stick with the bar color and OK. And so they're navy. As far as the critical tasks go, format, bar styles, let's rock on down to the critical tasks, which are here, and make them a brighter red. And OK, so they stand out more. So completely think about your bar styles and how you can improve your bar styles. The other thing is whether you show or don't show your critical tasks. The other thing you may want to do is highlight certain tasks. So what we do is we go into Gantt chart format, well actually view, and we choose the highlight option. And you have the option to highlight maybe summary tasks. And so summary tasks now appear highlighted, but that yellow is quite strong. So we can go in Gantt chart format, we can go to text styles, and we can say, look, we want to change any highlighted tasks. Highlighted tasks from being a bright yellow to maybe being a bit of a softer blue. And okay. So those are our summary tasks. You can highlight those. And you can also go back in and make sure they're bold. So we say our highlighted tasks are also to be bold. So you can completely format it. The other thing you can do is say, look, if it is a critical task, can we make the critical task go red? So text styles, any critical tasks, make their text color maybe a dark red so it's not so loud and okay. So these are critical tasks and these are non-critical tasks. So think about your template and how you can improve the look of your template by formatting your bars, inserting and hiding columns, customizing columns, changing the highlighting, things like that. And that's your template. So let's save your template. So we've created our template. How do we use our template and how do we instruct others how to use our template? Let's close it first of all. I'm going to go save and I'm going to go close. To use the template is really easy. All they have to do is go to File and go Open. Because we pinned the template, it appears at the top here. But basically you just open the template. When you do, it opens up a new project based on your template. So they're not going to screw up the template because it's a new project based on that template. Now they proceed to just start changing tasks, inserting tasks, deleting tasks, changing tasks. But one thing you will have to do as soon as you open it is you'll have to move the project to a relevant start date. Maybe the project's starting in 6 hours, 6 days, 6 weeks, or 6 years. Wherever the project is starting from, we're going to use this Move Project button. On the Project tab in the ribbon, click the Move Project button and say when your project's going to start. So I might say this is not going to start until the new year. So I'll go to January and I'll say, right, it's going to start on the 22nd of January. And okay. It literally picks up the project and moves it to the 22nd of January, making that week 1. From there, you can start to manage your project. Take off tasks that are not important. Change the tasks, insert tasks, rearrange tasks. And some tasks will be critical and some tasks will be not critical depending on the changes that you make. So definitely use this button to move your project and no other way to move your project to a relevant start date. I do hope you've enjoyed these videos. Please like or subscribe so that we know that the content we're creating is resonating with you and we continue to bring you more content. My name is Kathy Barker. This is Software Solutions. Ka kite, kia ora, thank you, and bye-bye.